The golden age of oil. The world remembers Venezuela as a place of crisis, but it wasn't always this way. In the 1950s and 60s, Venezuela was a beacon of prosperity, often called the Saudi Arabia of South America. It sits on the largest proven oil reserves on Earth, more than any other nation. Back then, the relationship was simple. Venezuela sold the oil, the United States bought it, and both nations thrived. Oil money built gleaming cities, modern roads, and world-class hospitals, but in 1999 everything changed. A charismatic former army officer named Hugo Chávez swept into power, promising a socialism of the 21st century. He believed the nation's wealth should belong to the people, not foreign corporations. He seized control of the oil industry and cut ties with the West. To his followers, he was a hero. To Washington, he was a new global threat. This was the beginning of a conflict that would change the world. The illusion of prosperity at first, the socialist vision seemed to work. Chávez poured oil money into free healthcare, education, and food for the poor. Poverty plummeted, and his power became absolute. But beneath the surface, the foundations were rotting. The government began seizing private companies, controlling prices, and silencing the media. Venezuela stopped producing its own goods, depending almost entirely on oil exports to survive. When Chávez died in 2013, he left behind a ticking time bomb for his successor, Nicolas Maduro. Maduro inherited a broken economy and a mountain of debt. When global oil prices crashed, so did Venezuela. Inflation exploded, shelves went empty, and the socialist dream turned into a nightmare of starvation and suffering. The United States accused the government of corruption and destroying democracy, and tension turned into a total confrontation. The economic execution. Washington's response was swift and brutal. Sanctions. These measures targeted Venezuela's oil exports, its banking system, and its leaders. The goal was to pressure the government to restore democracy, but the impact on the ground was massive. Locked out of global markets, Venezuela's currency became worthless paper. Hyperinflation meant a loaf of bread cost millions. Hospitals ran out of medicine. The lights went out across entire cities. Since then, over 7 million people have fled their homes, the largest migration crisis in the history of the Western Hemisphere. The government blamed American imperialism, while Washington blamed Maduro's corruption. In the middle, ordinary families were left trapped. A warning to the world. So, who is responsible for the collapse of a superpower? The government's mismanagement, the destruction of private industry, and the silencing of opposition paved the way for disaster. At the same time, American sanctions created a financial wall that made recovery nearly impossible. One side calls it defending democracy. The other calls it a crime against innocent people. The truth is complex. Venezuela became a battlefield between ideology and power. It serves as a warning of what happens when ideology replaces planning and when power replaces balance. It proves that a nation's greatest resource isn't the oil in its ground, it is the stability, freedom, and trust of its people. Once those are lost, even the richest land on earth can fall. The future of Venezuela is still unwritten, but its lesson is clear. Without trust and freedom, wealth alone cannot save a nation.